We've talked about brainstorming to narrow a general topic down to a specific one. We've talked about taking that specific topic, brainstorming on that to come up with our reasons or our supporting points to discuss that topic. And then we took those specific supporting points and we turned those into a pointed thesis. And this is what we have. Although I didn't begin watching The Walking Dead until recently, I quickly grew to love the show for its underlying hopeful theme, point number 1, its gross out zombie effects, point number 2, and of course, Daryl Dixon, point number 3. So we've got our 3 thesis points, and remember, you don't have to have 3. You might have 4, you might have 2. Anything over 5 becomes a little bit cumbersome and hard to deal with in a normal sentence. So, you know, if you've got more than 4 or 5, it's good to start merging similar ones together, or maybe checking some of them that maybe you don't have as much support for. Anything less than 2, and you really don't have a pointed thesis because you just got all one thing, and then you're probably not being specific enough, and you're not giving me what I'm looking for, which, as I said, is a detailed or pointed thesis that actually spells out the specific things you're going to be discussing to support your position on whatever topic you're talking about. So once you've got your pointed thesis, it's important then to start thinking as you go into developing the paper. It's important to understand topic sentences. A topic sentence works in the body of a paragraph pretty much the same way that a thesis statement works over the entire paper. A thesis statement is at the end of your introductory paragraph, and it's sort of telling your reader, hey, these are the main things I'm going to talk about in this entire paper. These are my main points I'm going to discuss. Similarly, a topic sentence sits at the beginning, the very first sentence of a body section or a paragraph of the paper, and says, hey, these are the things I'm going to be talking about, or this is the one point I'm going to be talking about in this section of the paper. So obviously, if you have specific points in your thesis statement, then each topic sentence in your paper should introduce and relate very clearly to one of those specific thesis points. Otherwise, your reader is likely to be going, okay, what the heck are you talking about in this section of your paper? I don't see how this relates to your thesis. So a topic sentence introduces a section of your paper so that your reader has a clear understanding that, oh, okay, this is the topic, or this is the thesis point we're going to be discussing or proving in this section of the paper. So, if we look at all of these different points that we have to talk about for this particular thesis statement, let's just write a topic sentence for our first point that reflects our first point. It might go something like this. So I've got this. One of the main reasons I love The Walking Dead is its surprisingly hopeful underlying theme. This would serve as a topic sentence to that section of the paper in which I'm going to talk about point 1. In this case, I've made it a really crystal clear topic sentence because I've actually used the same wording, hopeful, underlying, and theme, that I use in the thesis statement. So somebody would have to be a complete lunatic not to see that that's the point I'm talking about here. So that's a nice, easy way to write a good, clear topic sentence to make sure you are on point. If you have trouble with this kind of thing, just, use some of the same wording so that you know you're being clear that you're on that point. If you feel a little bit more comfortable mixing it up and that kind of thing, then you might use different wording, but it still has to be clear that you're talking about that specific point. So, let's do an example of a topic sentence for that same thesis point that doesn't use the exact same language as we do in the thesis. We'll be a little bit more, flexible here. but it's still got to be on point. So I might say this. So I've got this. It would surprise many people that The Walking Dead is really more about people taking care of each other than eating or killing other people. And when I talk about eating, obviously I'm talking about the zombies eating people. But anyway, this would work, although it's still a little bit not super tied to our thesis point. So I'm going to make it a little bit clearer. So I'm going to get rid of this and say, bring in a little bit more of that thesis point wording just to make it crystal clear. Actually, drafting is difficult. Okay, let's try this. I love the show's hopeful nature in that The Walking Dead is really more about people taking care of each other than eating or killing other people. That is a great topic sentence, if I do say so myself. It ties directly into our thesis point language, but it frees it up a little bit so we're not just completely mimicking exactly what the thesis says. But remember, if you want to completely mimic exactly what the thesis says, that's okay. You can use that wording if you feel more comfortable. But if you feel, if it makes you feel more comfortable, but if you feel like, hey, I can expand, I can spread my wings a little bit, then this kind of thing works fine. I'm not just, mimicking exactly what the thesis point wording is. I'm expanding it a little bit, but I'm still clearly on that thesis point. So anyone reading my paper would say, okay, this topic sentence introduces the first thesis point. This body section of the paper is going to talk about that point from the thesis. You don't want there to be any confusion. As you introduce each body section of your paper, you don't want people to be scratching their head going, okay, what the heck are you talking about here? How does this relate to the thesis? If you write good topic sentences, that won't be a problem for you. Topic sentences are a really important foundation for good writing, and it's something that I'm going to be looking for when I grade your papers, okay? So really think about topic sentences, writing clear ones that clearly, specifically, obviously reflect the thesis point you're talking about and that you plan to deal with in that particular section of the paper. Okay.